Hi, my name's Christopher.
My name is Kate Pavlenka.
Welcome to our short video on our Snakes and Ladders game. We decided to design this game basically in one class with Natasha, where what we came up with were
Extra objects that we added was a turtle, a rabbit, and bomb. Turtle was skipped around. A rabbit was when you step on the rabbit, you get extra dice roll, and bomb object was generated the random numbers of squares backward or forward, and it's multiplayer game between 2 and 8 players. So we have snakes, ladders, grids 10 and 10, so 100 squares, and I will show you around play. And here I implemented in a menu. So I have a special class choices with the rules, play, and ext. And we have a main class when we were the main game with the menu. So here I have a menu, and in the switch statement, in the cases I implemented rules, play, and ext, and I initialize for them the numbers for user input. So we're playing the game, and I run the game.
looks like we run the wrong game. That's my statistics. Okay, so default configuration and change it statistics. Change it for the game. And here we go again.
So here we see the menu. View the rules, it's one option. So here you see what each object does. We hit second option and how many players. So we chose 3, an example. Print in the names. So hit the key to play next round. We see which dice we have and on which grid position we are now. We see when we've landed on an object, ladder, or bomb, or snake.
Okay, while Kate is playing away here with the 9900, the two big problems we ran into were initially the enum and abstraction. Kate sorted the enum, as you can see in the menu, and the abstraction I took on and tried to figure out how to get our abstraction working with events for our snakes and our ladders and the bomb. We ran out of time, so we couldn't implement the rabbit and we couldn't implement the turtle, unfortunately. But we did get the abstraction class working. Event action is our main abstraction class, which is basically where we take in something very simple such as a class name. Well, I give it a name, I give it a description, position in our grid, the length in our grid, and for the bomb, the direction that's going, either throwing it on the way up or throwing it on the way down. So our actual default constructor doesn't do an awful lot. It just takes in a name and a description and sets everything else to 0. And then we have a whole pile of little values in here and 2 strings. And this is our abstract event to create our actual event itself when the user hits it. So quick show on the ladder. We send it in with a name, and the description is moving forward or moving up X number of squares. This is going to be used in the text in the game. Here's where we actually create our ladders. Everything's randomized. So the randomization is the position on this grid where the ladder will start, the length of the ladder, and then we update our grid to show that those 2 squares are used, so no snake or bomb can land on those 2 squares. and this is just setting back the length of whatever it is, the ladder or the snake or the bomb. So that actually took quite a bit of work to figure out, but we got it done. Within the actual game itself, we are doing our statistical file. Again, this was Kate did the initial bit and I did the rest. If I can find it now, it'll be handy. This is where we're doing our loop of our action events. So this is just landed on a, that's where our name is, and oops, and that's the event description. So either you moved up the number of squares, or you moved down or blown down or whatever. So that's all our action events in there. This is checking whether or not a player has won the game. Square 100 means you won. Now, our game is last man standing, which means if there's 6 players in the game, 5 players must land on 100 before the game will end. And I am looking for our line, this line here. This is our interface file. So it's putting out a GP to say the game is in progress, and it gives a player.getOut string. So our player.getOut string, we click on it, it's like a toString, but it only puts out certain pieces of information for us. So it puts out our player, the position they're on. This is the toString from the dice to show 2 dice we got, the ladder, a snake, a bomb, and the bomb way, and the winning position of the player. At the end of a game, we then put out a GE to say that's the end of the game. So that's our statistical file set up and working. So that's the basics of our game. Not a lot in it. Does the job that it has to do. The grid is an imaginary grid, only used for creating the events. The actual arrays then are array lists for players' events. Okay, conclusion. How did you find working together?
I like it. I definitely expanded my knowledge about object-oriented programming. What do you think about?
I'm used to working with other people. I don't mind. I think I gave you an awful lot of the work to do. For instance, you wrote the initial program, the actual game program, and you did a lot of the work coding there. You also did all of the work on the class diagram.
Yes, I did the UML diagram for our program, and it was quite fun to manage to fit everything.
You used a tool, a package that's in NetBeans.
Yeah, I used this as well.
What was it?
Easy UML.
Yeah, which was a nice little tool to take your Java code and build your
UML diagram, and it's basically give you a good hint how the relationships are going to work, how the classes are working together.
all tied together.
Yeah,
And then you actually did it by hand in Word, I think,
yeah, I did.
which is awesome. Cool. You also did the README file for how to play the
Yes.
game, and you did the was it an instruction file as well?
Yeah, but it's kind of the same. It's describing what kind of object we have, how it runs, what it have, like it's multiplayer player game.
Everything else. Yeah. Now, while we're here talking about files and different things, I just want to change something around. Kate, can you help me here, please? I want to run our statistical program, if you don't mind. So I just need to move the recording window out of the way. So the default config.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And of course, it's the recording window's in the way. Put it to our statistics. Yeah. And we can run that for me, please.
Mm-hmm.
Here. Run it. Okay. All right. Well, I know what happened there because I can
We need
guarantee
to-
you the other program's still running. If you click on the other tab here, these clicks and ladders, if you go into there, press any key,
Mm-hmm.
and then press 3 for exit,
Mm-hmm.
and go back to my one and try running my one again, it might just actually give us stats. Wow. So This is now reading in the file I was talking about. So you have the player's name, Jacob, Chris, Kate. It's sorted into the correct order, first, second, and third, and a game total. And our stats run all the way down the end. So you the grid position. If you're lucky with your dice roll, and you don't end up with a funny dice roll at the end where you're on square 98 and you dial roll 3, which means you can't get out, you're stuck on 98. You've got to wait for another round to roll. When you get a double 1, then you get out. So it adds up all those. So if you see 100, you know the player actually got out the first time cleanly. If you see a high number, you know they were going all over the place. And low numbers just mean you don't necessarily win the game because you could hit snakes and ladders and dropped you back down and it took you too long to get up there. But your dice roll was actually fairly low. Doesn't really mean anything. As well as generating this file, we also create an XLS file. It's a comma separated value file that you can open in Excel. Can we hop into that file if you scroll down here in the snakes and ladder side? Yeah, is there a file? No, here, files. Yeah, and there should be in snakes and ladders. I know you can't see this, it's off screen. The SNL, the file is called snl underscore xl.csv. If you double click on him for me and throw this one down. NetBeans is nice. So what you see on the screen at the moment is a comma separated value file where we've just within quotes put each field. So the player's name is one field, Jacob, Chris, Kate, game, total, they're all separate fields. And the winning position is a set of separate fields, the same for the grid position. So that's how we did our Excel update as such. So you can open that file in Excel and it'll format for you. So you can do further analysis of it. So we think we've delivered the majority of everything. Yeah?
I hope.
Are you happy with it?
Yeah, I'm happy.
I could still play around with it for the next 50 years, but never mind. So that's our game. That's our video. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Bye.